Welcome back. Exit polls from Israel's general election suggest there will be no clear winner. According to the polls, the centrist Blue and White Alliance Party of former military chief and main challenger Benny Gantz is projected to win 36 or 37 seats, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party winning 33 to 36. Both men are already claiming victory. Here's more international news now from Amarachi Ubani.
Has warned that attacks against civilians in Libya may amount to war crimes. Health facilities have now confirmed dozens of people were killed and over 180 others injured in over recent days as the battle for Tripoli intensified. The Eastern Libyan National Army forces of Khalifa Haftar, a former general in Gaddafi's army, are fighting to take control of the capital from an internationally recognized government. Yesterday, authorities were forced to close the city's only functioning airport following an airstrike.
Intentionally targeting civilians or civilian objects, as well as indiscriminate attacks, may amount to war crimes. The High Commissioner has highlighted in particular the need to ensure protection of extremely vulnerable civilians, including refugees and migrants, many of whom are already held in horrific conditions in ad hoc detention facilities by armed groups, and they may be placed under significant peril.
Heavy gunfire has failed to deter protesters in the Sudanese capital who are demonstrating against President Omar al-Bashir's rule. Several people were reportedly killed and more than 100 others injured as armed militia, loyal to the dictator, moved in. Sudanese soldiers intervened to protect protesters who've occupied the streets outside the defense ministry since Saturday. Abdelkader Ben Salah has been appointed Algeria's interim president, succeeding Abdelaziz Bouteflika. But as he addressed parliament, thousands of protesters hit the streets, rejecting the decision. Demonstrators want radical change and are demanding immediate steps to remove the old guard or those associated with the former president. Ben Salah is due to be in office for 90 days in the run-up to a presidential election. An American tourist and her guide who were abducted in Uganda last week have been released after negotiated settlement. Kimberly Sue Endicott and her driver, Jean-Paul, were seized by gunmen near the border with Democratic Republic of Congo on April 2nd. The kidnappers demanded $500,000 for her release. State-owned media outlet New Vision reported that a ransom of $30,000 was paid, citing undisclosed sources. The European Union says it is prepared to grant the UK an extension for Brexit. That's if the Prime Minister produces a plan on how to move the stalled divorce deal forward within 24 hours. Theresa May raced to Germany and France for emergency talks today, meeting both Chancellor Angela Merkel and President Emmanuel Macron ahead of the EU's decision tomorrow.
I think that EU leaders this week are open to an extension, but they certainly want to see a plan to go with that extension.
It's in the Dutch interest to avoid a hard Brexit, and if more time will be needed to avoid a hard Brexit, well, we should allow for more time.
We want to understand what the UK needs this extension for and what is the political surroundings around Theresa May to have this extension. And then comes the question of the conditions of what role want the UK to play during this extension time.
Without an extension, the UK is due to crash out of the EU on Friday at 10 p.m. GMT. 9 pro-democracy activists have been convicted of public nuisance charges in Hong Kong. The leaders of the Occupy civil disobedience movement called for free elections during mass protests in 2014. Thousands marched demanding the right for Hong Kong to choose its own leader. It's not yet clear when the group will be sentenced. And finally, he may not have his cash, but his celebrity status is certainly climbing. An amateur football player is turning heads and winning hearts in northern Iraq, thanks to his resemblance to a certain elite player, that of Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo. Unlike the Juventus star, 25-year-old Biwa Abdullah does not play for a top club in Europe, but is popular in his hometown and happy to pose for photos with people on the streets. Unsurprisingly, he hopes his newfound fame may one day lead to an encounter with his idol. And that's your international news around the world in 5. I am Amarachi Ubani.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. To sports now, here's Olumide Macaulay.
Thank you, Ijoma. Hello and welcome to Sports News. The 2019 Echo Beach Soccer Tournament will hold on Monday, April the 22nd, at the landmark Premier Lifestyle Beach in Victoria Island, Lagos. According to the Lagos State Football Association, 8 teams will participate in the tournament, and the teams will be placed into 2 groups. Safety shooters, new signings Abdullahi Atabo, Danlami Abdullahi and Benga Cole have been listed in the final list of the Nigeria Under-20 handball team to the 2019 IHF Challenge Trophy in Kosovo. According to the Handball Federation of Nigeria, 3 Niger United players, Mohamed Anis, Mohamed Alfa and Suleiman Usman, are part of the team. To the UEFA Champions League, and Naby Keita and Roberto Firmino got on the score sheet as Liverpool turned back Portuguese giants FC Porto 2-0 in the first leg of the quarter-final clash at Anfield. South Korean international Son scored the only goal 12 minutes from full-time as Tottenham defeated Manchester City in an all-English tie in London. The return leg comes up on Wednesday, April the 17th in Porto and Manchester. Staying with football, the Spanish Football Federation say it will organize a revamped Super Cup to take place outside of Spain from January 2020. The RFEF president, Luis Rubiales, also revealed sweeping changes to the Copa del Rey, which is set to reduce fixture congestion. With regard to the Super Cup, he says the federation will develop a Final Four format for the tournament to take place outside of Spain in the month of January. That's it on sports news. Ijoma is back with the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks a lot, Olumide, and the main news again. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, today continued his tour of the Northwest to ramp up security across the states ravaged by armed banditry and kidnapping. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. You have a good night.